All right, fire away, buddy. I'm ready.
All right. This is Just Be with Oatley. That was my joke of my name
Wait,
in the
E.E.
government,
Oatley?
as in the equal employment opportunity. That's where you go when you get in trouble for saying something you shouldn't say. You go to the EEO office.
So you were E.E. Oatley?
E.E. Oatley, yeah. So, last name, and it's just funny. So questions. So, right, you mentioned your sneakers, and I know you're a sneakerhead, and I've seen on at least one of your podcasts where you talk about being a sneakerhead.
Yes.
What's the most expensive pair of sneakers you own?
The most expensive pair of sneakers I own. Well, okay, so are we talking dead stock? Or are we talking like worn? So like dead stock means I've never worn them. And then because I have some expensive shoes that if they were dead stock, they'd be really expensive, right? But I've worn them. So I have some that are dead stock that are still expensive.
Let's go worn and dead stock.
Okay, so my most expensive worn shoes are a pair of Jordan 1 Off-White UNC, which looks like a Jordan 1 except it's baby blue and white, and then it's an Off-White, which means it's done by Virgil.
Okay. And when you say Jordan 1, is that from the original or is that a later run of the Jordans?
No, it's the model of the original Jordan 1. The shape and the look of the shoe is the original model.
Right.
But the original was made in 1985 and this was made in like 2000 something.
Okay, yeah. And then those are the ones that you've worn. What about your dead stock?
My most expensive dead stock are a pair of Travis Scott. I think they're called the Reverse Mocha. And I think at dead stock, they're like $1,500, $1,700.
Jesus Christ.
But if you wear them, they immediately drop value.
Yeah.
Unless they're just like, unless it's a really, really, really grail shoe. So like, I'll give you an example. There's a shoe called, it's a Travis Scott like Dunk. I forgot what on the top of my head, I forgot the name. It doesn't matter. But the shoe is so rare and it's so expensive. Even when you find so a dead stock one is like $3,000, right? When you find one that's like not dead stock, it can be like beat the fuck up and it'll still be $1,000.
I can't believe people pay that much for tennis shoes, man. And most of them are Nikes, and Nikes are just not that well made.
It's a luxury brand item at this point.
Yeah.
So like it's Louis Vuitton, what are watch like Breitling. It's a luxury item at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or an investment. I know I told you about my buddy and his merchandise or his sports merchandise business. The sneakerheads travel in those circles too. So,
oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, my jersey collection's out of control.
Oh yeah, I saw one of your. I think it was a short about your jersey collection.
Oh yeah.
So next question. So it used to be a Moderately Good Podcast, which I thought was a pretty crafty name. What made you change it to Just Be with Scottie G? Or was it like a format thing? Was it just like the evolution?
So when we originally started and we originally did it, it was kind of just like me and my buddies like making this podcast, right? So, we came with the name, a Moderately Good Podcast, and we're just kind of like doing stuff. And then the progression of the podcast came to the point where someone was a guest, and then you haven't gotten this far yet, but I usually ask for feedback anyways. And so after the podcast, I was like, hey, you got any feedback for me? And his feedback was, where I like the name, a Moderately Good Podcast, that's not what you're doing here. You're doing something different. Mm-hmm. And I already had my coaching stuff that was Just Be. That was my coaching platform at that point already, right? And so I don't know if he said it or if I came up with it later or something like that, but like it was like, he said, just be with Scottie G or, whatever, blah, blah. And I was like, no. That's like, I'm not doing, like, that doesn't feel right, blah, blah, whatever. And over time, I realized that it was changing. I realized it was evolving. And so in a serendipitous way, there was this opportunity for me to change the name kind of seamlessly. It happened on the 76th episode. I was born in 1976. You go into all these like nuances and things that kind of told me that this is the right decision. Mm-hmm. But all those things told me this is you should make this decision. And I kind of did it like not looking back. And I'm with you. Like a Moderately Good Podcast, that's a pretty solid name.
Yeah.
But Just Be with Scottie G really describes what I do.
Right. And then how many, you said that you changed it on your set. How many episodes? What episode number is this?
It's like it'll be like episode like 130 something.
Wow, man.
And that's like, not this not toot my own horn kind of thing, but out of 130 something episodes, we'll say 120, 115 of them are in person in here in the garage in some form or fashion, right? And to do 100 something in-person interviews, I think is really something. Yeah, it's one thing to do it online, but to do in-person interviews, especially the style in which I like to do, like how I bring people in and what we do, like to do that 100 and some plus times, like, I tell people this all the time, like, you got the best experience today because I know what I'm doing now. Before it'd be really awkward and like all this stuff, and but it's not like that anymore. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, you did. Yeah. You did. And then all right, so right now we're still in the fledgling stage, but I follow you online. I think I've seen you on TikTok, but I know I follow you on YouTube. I like the shorts more than I like the long form stuff because I can't sit for an hour and watch YouTube videos. But you're in the fledgling stage, but as I see the videos, I'm seeing more likes and I'm seeing more views. So you are growing. So what does Scottie G do when he gets close to the Joe Rogan level or even just the Bad Friends podcast or something like that?
I've thought about this like quite a bit. I really enjoy just like doing this. Like, to have you come in is like one kind of experience, and to have a complete stranger come in is another kind of experience. Right. And to have like a family or, somebody else in my life come in. And what I really hope is, I don't know, like what I really hope the podcast is and does, and when it's like, Joe Rogan level or whatever, is that it gives me the freedom to work my job the way I really want to work my job with the kind of clients I want to work with and the people that I currently have and stuff like that. It allows me a platform to share like a message and stuff like that. And maybe it gives me a space to like help other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know this for 100% fact. I feel like Joe Rogan helps a lot of people. I mean, I feel like he's helped a lot of people by just opening a comedy club. The employment and people. I mean, it's just like, it just helps, right? In his own way, it's not like saving the world, but it's creating a space for people to be creative and do things, and people have jobs and then be employed, right? So what if one day I could do that for the people that are close to me or complete strangers, stuff like that? That would be amazing,
Yeah. I tell you where a lot of these, especially the comedians doing podcasts, where I think that I don't know if they know it, and I don't know if most people see it, but like Joe Rogan in particular, and even like, the Bad Friends and Andrew Scholes and all these guys, like they are champions of free speech, and they're doing more for free speech in like the last 2-3 years. I mean, basically my own perception of what's been going on, what you've seen on TV and other places with cancel culture is like, oh God, you can't say retard anymore. And, all of a sudden I think it's okay again to say retard, because I'm not going to call a disabled person a retard. I'm going to call you a retard when you do something stupid. But it's like, God, like this kind of format is just, hey, just talk and do this. And it's like, I feel like that as a country, we were teetering on some dangerous ground where every time you said something that anybody didn't like, it was, you were canceled or whatever. And
I want to give you a compliment and tell you how much I appreciate. On the actual podcast, we talked about politics, right? Yeah. And like, I can't really do that with anybody. You know what I mean? And like, I just really appreciate you. Like you open the space and like you listen, like, not that we had some big disagreement, but you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, like that sounds right. And like, it's not hard to come to common ground when you talk to somebody. But I think like when we come to subjects that we don't want to talk about and we just go, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That means you have something to talk about. Like there's something to be said. So like it behooves you to find a way to deliver messages and think about what you say and what you want to say to another person, stuff like that. So you can have those kinds of conversations. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. I just to touch on that, I think that people, when they do say that, it's because they know they're going to disagree with you. And to some extent, they know their position doesn't make a lot of sense, and they don't want to hear you tell them exactly why they're nutso about it. Or, and honestly, somebody famous, and I won't tell you who, said, when people stop talking, they start fighting. And so, the conversations are good to have, and they need to be happy.
Was that Martin Luther King?
It was not. It was Charlie Kirk. but yeah, we'll get controversial here.
I feel like I knew where that was from. I was kind of making a joke, but at the same time, I feel like throughout history, that's a pretty easy common thread. When people stop talking, they start fighting. You know what I mean? Like that on a school ground, two people, two kids arguing. Mm-hmm. They stop arguing, start fighting.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look at the riots in Portland. There were times, I haven't seen any of the videos in a while, but there were times when they were lining up for medieval combat out there with swords and shields. I mean, now they were wooden and plastic, but it was like,
this wasn't bum fights?
No, no, but it was vicious. Anyway, other question. I think it was last year at our retreat, you and I were talking, and you said something to me, and it was like, you're like, man, people come on my podcast or they talk to me, and I don't feel like I do, anything, but like people will just start pouring their souls out to me. And I was like, I think my response to you was that I think it's because A, you ask emotionally intelligent questions, and then B, you listen. But I wanted to throw it back on you. Why do you think people find it so easy or so comfortable to talk to you and pour out whatever's coming off their mind?
Man, it's weird that you're asking me this right now. There's been like a similar theme like in my life, like of this kind of question, right? And this is what I really think. I really think that most people don't show up with the emotional space for you. They're so overwhelmed, they're so unconscious of everything that's going, they're so caught up in their own like shit. Mm-hmm. That they don't have enough space to just like listen or, whatever. And I try to take care of my own stuff so that I have space for Aaron when I show up to be his friend, right? And I think there's an energy and maybe a passiveness, and again, the questions that I ask and the things I pick up on and stuff like that lead people to that direction. Like one of our mutual friends, Denny James, he might get mad he won't get mad that I said this, but he might get mad I'm giving him a hard time. I remember we were driving somewhere together, and I don't know how it came up, but he goes, man, I can't just talk to you. We end up talking about like emotional shit. And I'm like, I'm not trying to talk about like emotional stuff. Like, why are you telling me things? You know what I mean? I'm not
quit trauma dumping.
Yeah. I'm not trying to do that. Right. But like, I think that I give people space to do that. And like, that's something we could do for everybody. You know what I mean? Like the world would be a lot better place if you could ask someone, hey, how their day's going, and let them vent that out. You not take it on as your responsibility or personally, just be there to just say, well, like, like you can, encouragement or whatever it is. I mean, cause that's a lot of what I'm doing, right? I can't take on everybody's shit.
Right.
Like if everybody came on the podcast and the things they tell me, if I took those on all personally, man, I'd be like screwed,
Yeah. And I think I'll throw this.
I like that you didn't write anything down.
No, I thought them out, and I just like, and then I was like, let's see what else comes out. I actually thought about, hey, ChatGPT, give me some questions. Yeah, I've thought about feeding it a couple of your podcasts and saying, give me some.
I did that for a podcast. I fed the podcast some episodes of me and this other person that we'd done 2 podcasts together, and then it came up with questions based on those podcasts.
There you go. So I'm trying to remember. Going back to school, we talked a little bit about my school, and I'm assuming you have some sort of physical education degree.
No.
No. What did you go to school for?
Art.
Art?
Yeah.
So you did all this yourself?
No. I had a degree. My degree is a BA of Fine Arts and Communication Design.
Holy smokes. Okay, how does an art major, like draw my mind, like most of our buddies were in the business school, myself included, right?
Oh yeah, you don't know how odd I was in the fraternity.
Yeah, well, when I started, I was a music major, little secret, musical theater. But how does an art major just, just seems like the art people and the theater people, mind you, are the ones that used to tell us that we buy our friends and
Sure.
this and that. And here we are now. I don't talk to any of those theater people anymore, but I still talk to all my fraternity brothers. Right.
Right.
How does the guy get from the art department into a fraternity?
Jody Allen.
Jody.
I worked at Jody at Lone Star Cafe, right? And I think life in general was hard for me in the sense of like I was a very artistic kid, very creative artistic kid. And I grew up in a small town with a teacher and a farmer for parents, right? And like it was like you need to go to school and get a regular degree and get a business degree and do those kinds of things. And like so I knew how to play in the arena of regular people. You know what I mean? I knew how to I knew how to be a fraternity guy. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
Right. But like I think at that time, I just wasn't willing to be my full self. I wasn't ready to be my full self. I had to go through that transformation to become my full self or something like that. And yeah, it was weird because like no one in the fraternity really understood. I remember I was in the quad one day and Jody came up. He goes, "What class are you fixing to go to?" I said, "I'm going to nude figure drawing." He goes, "What happens in that class?" I said, "Well, nude models come in and they pose and we draw them." And he goes, "Girls?" I said, "Yeah, girls." He goes, "Can I go?" And I was like, "No, dog." But he didn't grasp the concept. I'm going to a class where I'm going to draw nude people all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that, or just my art classes and stuff in general, And so, yeah, I think it was always a struggle for me to fit in like normally. Like, it's kind of nice that the internet came around and like there's all these other crazier people than me. You know what I mean? Because it makes me look pretty tame.
Yeah. It's like anybody can have a YouTube channel, but not everybody should have a YouTube channel. Yes.
Well, I hope that my YouTube, back to the podcast thing and like the name and the whole thing. I just want to say, what like real success kind of feels like to me? It feels like whenever someone maybe sees my podcast on YouTube or Spotify and they go, that's a real podcast. Like it looks
right. Like
it looks legit. Like the artwork and the everything's spelled right. And like there's no like the title isn't all jacked up and it just looks tight and formed. And they're like, wow, like that must be really well produced. And they listen to it and they get a really pretty produced product. That's when I feel like I've really done like good. And I think changing the name from the Molly Good, that shift gave me this weird permission to be real, to be a legit podcast. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
So, and this isn't one that, so I had an experience. I'm at the Denver Oktoberfest, I believe, on Sunday or Saturday evening. I think it was Sunday, this past Sunday. And I don't know if you know who Evan Slaughter is. He's kind of a TikTok guy.
Okay.
He does videos, funny videos about, they're workout based. You'd probably enjoy them. He does them about CrossFit, about pickleball, running, and he's shorter. I didn't know this at the time. He's shorter than me, and he's a little more rotund than me. But very entertaining. I'll link some to you after the show. But anyway, I'm sitting there cooking sausages, and here walks by Evan. And I'm like, Evan! And he stops, and it's like, And I got a selfie with him, and I was like, I'm like, yes, I met. He's not really a childhood hero, but this is a guy I watch and I enjoy his content, and I met him. Have you had that experience at all? Has somebody pulled you aside and said, "Hey, I've seen your podcast," and they recognized you yet, or just not quite to that level yet?
I had one guy in the sauna say that he had heard of my stuff or something like that. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, like I feel like I've seen or heard that," and then but not really. And I think that if I was at some kind of level where people are doing that kind of stuff, I'd probably get like a lot more hate on the internet, people writing things. I just think there's not so I read this book about podcasting when I started. I read it actually a couple of times, but I read about podcasting. And the thing that stuck with me is he was like, you can have a really great product and make some really good money and like really have something that's worth value and it not be very big at all. 500 to 1,000 listeners.
Right.
But those people are engaged and those people support you and they, and blah, blah, blah. He goes, you can have a nice little podcast career. You can have a nice little podcast going, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think most people don't make it that far because after 100 and whatever episodes, I'm still not there. Now, I'm sure there's other people that got quick, fast breaks somehow and they're already there. But I think the majority of us are having to, pay our dues just like everything else. Do the work that comes along with having something great,
Put in the hard work. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, as you do get up there and people do start commenting, don't delete the haters, just ignore them. Because you're gonna get hate. People are gonna make fun of you. People are probably gonna make fun of me for wearing pink. I like pink as I get older. I don't know why.
I have a lot of pink stuff.
It's like when we were in the fraternity, I'd have called myself gay. I probably would have used the F word. I don't want to get you banned, so I won't say it.
Nah, I mean, lucky for us, we're not there yet.
Yeah, not that big.
Yeah. We're gonna have to wait for that.
But yeah, it's like I don't know. I hope the best. I think your format is great. I hope you can get. I was like, man, I can't wait to see him get somebody famous in here.
Who should I get?
Shoot, I would start local, man. Like,
think Matthew McConaughey would come in,
dude. I think you guys would have an incredibly interesting conversation. And who knows? He likes to support local. He's trying to start the film business down here. Just maybe he would do it.
Yeah.
There's that one podcaster who, I don't know how she worked up, but she ends up interviewing some girl.
Oh, you talking about Call Her Daddy?
Probably.
Yeah. She was part of Barstool. She was part of Barstool.
Barstool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
also she earned everything. Total respect. Her name is Alex Cooper. Total respect for everything she does.
Yeah.
But because she had been doing it for about 5 years, and then that's where it took off, right? So as I'm watching, there's a documentary about her, and I was watching. I was like, okay, this is it. This is my 5. But I don't know any Barstool people. That's my problem too.
And I don't know how you work your way up. Like maybe you go down to I don't know, maybe you could get Kill Tony, kind of a local celebrity that not everybody knows, to come on. Maybe you start even lower, just some of the local comedians, maybe a local politician, councilman.
I had a local rapper.
There you go. Local musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know when somebody's going to make it big. And I mean, I think it's stuff like that. And you have this, you get those little people, and then, you get a come up, you trade up, right?
But so I'm gonna flip this on you a little bit. I saw a dude interviewing Charlie Sheen, right? I don't know what that dude's name is. I don't even know what his podcast is. I know he interviewed Charlie Sheen. I know he asked great questions. I know Charlie Sheen complimented him, but I'm not gonna find his shit, right? So even sometimes I think if you have big guests and stuff like that, if it doesn't hit the right people at the right time, if people can't find it easily, if you don't make it accessible, if you're not constantly I promote every day and there's still people that go, you have a podcast? And I'm like, you don't know? You know what I mean? Because it feels like I'm just bombarding people constantly. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's necessarily true. Because again, people are more concerned with their own lives, what's going on with them, than me doing my podcast and stuff,
And I what I do like that I have seen you doing, I like the shorts. I think you should
do more shorts.
Do more shorts. how many subjects did we hit today? I don't know. And honestly, I felt like we were talking about one thing, we're talking about barbecue, and we end up talking about DEI. I mean, but
that's the way it goes around here, though.
You could segment the DEI conversation, right? Those would be great little shorts if you can. And I think that, like, I like watching your shorts, man.
Oh, well, thanks.
Okay. I have a short attention span.
But let me say that this doesn't matter to probably anybody. I edit all my shorts myself, meaning that I don't get AI shorts. I don't get AI to edit my podcast. I do everything myself. And I feel like it's like making handmade furniture.
Yeah.
It's just different, right? It's just different. Handmade furniture is just like different. And so I feel like that if you say, man, I really like your shorts, I'm tapping into something authentically in my show that you're like, oh, wow, I really like that. You know what I mean? And that is important to me because I don't think AI knows that.
Yeah.
They to your point, they know what words are popular. So they might pick things with just popular words. Well, what if I say a really unpopular word and it's very interesting? Then what are you going to do?
True.
My man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.